In this video, I will be showing you the army I collected accidentally, Night Lords Chaos Space Marines. One of the ways I build up my collection of miniatures is through bulk buying second-hand. Like many things economic, the pricing for job lots of Warhammer miniatures on eBay is not linear, meaning you tend to pay far more per model the fewer miniatures you buy in one lot. Of course, there's a catch. You can often end up with a load of miniatures for an army that you're not collecting. Around about 2014, I was buying job lots of miniatures to expand my Imperial Guard army. Several job lots that I bought had miniatures from other armies, and over time, I noticed I was accumulating quite the complement of Chaos Space Marines. Wait, complement? What's the correct collective noun for a group of traitor Marines? A warband? A band? A gaggle? A cackle? A murder? Anyway, I collected some. And you know what else I had? An unrealized dream of my youth to paint some Night Lords, because, like many people who read White Dwarf back in the day, I used to spend ages gazing longingly at those beautiful glossy pictures, and Night Lords were ones that featured. In fact, they also featured in the 3rd edition rulebook, and I think that's possibly where I saw them more often, in the glossy pages in the centre and maybe towards the beginning of the book. There were quite a good few pictures of the Night Lords, some facing off against the Mordian Iron Guard, and others. And while I'm here, can I just say how much I wanted this game board? This gorgeous industrial city board, which, remember, would have been handmade from trash and craft materials back in the day. Back then, terrain made by Games Workshop was limited, and handcrafted terrain was encouraged. They even produced books on the subject. Perhaps one day I'll make my own version of this board. So now you have my reasons, let's consider the models in my collection. Let's start with the big cheese. The Lord of the Night Lords, my Warlord in Terminator armour with twin lightning claws. This chap has some conversion work, being modelled somewhat on Nemeroth from the Space Marine video game fame. I mean, he's not really like him much, I concede, but I took inspiration from him, notably the crest around his head and the twin lightning claws. I even modelled this, shall we say, orifice on one claw to represent the ranged weapon Nemeroth has. There's no in-game war gear equivalent I'm aware of, but I like the look of it and that's what matters. I'm aware his skin is quite bronzed for a Night Lord, but maybe he's wearing the face of a recent victim. To keep not Nemeroth company are 5 Chaos Terminators. The Terminators have this war gear: Combi Melter and Power Axe ×2, Reaper Autocannon and Power Fist, Combi Melter and Power Fist, Heavy Flamer and Power Axe. Oh, and another Combi Melter and Power Fist. I honestly have no idea if these combinations are efficient, effective, or even legal in the current rule set, and it doesn't bother me. I'm not a meta chaser. That stuff changes like the weather anyway. But oh man, I love looking at these guys, and I love their ridiculous design. What could be meaner than a Terminator? One with tusks, trophy racks, and general pointiness. The only thing that would scare me more than meeting these on a dark night would be bumping into one of my old dinner ladies. The next bunch of lads are Legionaries, which were just called Chaos Space Marines when I put them together. I have 20 of these, which seems like a lot at the expense of fancier troops. But back in the day, and I mean only a few editions ago, 2 troops as a minimum was a requirement, so 2 squads it had to be. Oh, and the cultists that I collected later. What can I say, I didn't want to lack troops. It was 6th edition when I started this project, so it goes back at least that far. Anyway, let's have a closer look at these chaps. First we have this champion with a particularly orange power sword. His helm has Night Lord wings and is metal from an old upgrade kit, I believe. This guy looks particularly horny, and has not held back at all painting lightning on his armour. Yeah, I'm not going to talk about each one. Many of them are the same, but I will say that I enjoyed making every model unique for this collection due to the combination of parts I accrued. This fella is clearly vying for the Tallest Horns award, and this one has a top knot bellowing in the wind. This is one of 2 metal minis that I have added to this collection. although his heavy bolter is not metal, it's plastic. While most of these are from the multi-part plastic kit from 2002 or thereabouts, this guy is one of the metal sculpts from 1996. Just reviewing them now, if I was to paint them again, I would definitely try to add Nightlord transfers to a shoulder pad per marine and go a bit easier on the lightning. But what can I say? Past Matthew must have really loved his lightning. Okay, this guy is a Mark of Slaanesh on one pad. No clue why. I probably just thought it looked cool at the time. Now this is the first Nightlord's model I painted. I particularly dig this sculpt of helmet with the split down the middle and the metal tipped horns. That's what makes him their champion. This guy, like some others, has pallid skin, because according to the lore, Night Lords do have pale skin and jet black eyes, plus they are veterans of the Long War. In fact, I'm surprised their skin has looked this good for this long, to be honest. Maybe it's an effect of inhabiting the Eye of Terror, or wearing moisturiser, or both. This one likes to collect skulls, it seems. He also has big horns. Okay, this is officially my favourite for a few reasons. First, he's metal, again from 1996. Secondly, he has what looks like antlers for horns. And his plasma gun is so chunky. And then we just have a few more guys with bolters and one more with the plasma gun. I painted the glow orange on the plasmas to contrast it with the blue on the armour. And I think it looks hot. Away from Astartes now, and we have some cultists. I have 20 of these as well. They're the sculpts from the Dark Vengeance set released in 2012. At the time, I thought these were the bee's knees. So much character. For some reason I don't have any of the models with auto pistols and melee weapons, but never mind. I'm not going to show you all of them, but I will show you an example of each sculpt that I have. First there's this traitor commissar, ripped to the nines and branded with a star of chaos on his chest. Then we have this gentleman with a heavy stubber and looking like he moonlights in a butcher's shop, purely based on his apron. He's also clearly a man who is organised, based on the tools he's brought with him. Next we have the other special weapons dude, armed with a flamer and again donning the stylish apron. Since it's a white apron, I'm saying he's into dental surgery, and he likes to take your teeth from you, whether you like it or not, I'm afraid. The rest of these have auto guns. This one is cloaked and hooded. This one is rocking the plague mask. This guy clearly has a few extra eye sockets. And this one couldn't afford a proper mask, so he's gone with a plastic bag. I like how some of them have some kind of air conditioning unit on their back, and some of them, equally, are no strangers to bicep curls. Fwah. Filling the one and only heavy support slot is this Forge Fiend. I spent a significant amount of time on the base of this one, using cork and some layering to paint it to make it look like a lava flow. For reasons that escape me, I never glued the model to the base. When it comes to the heads and arms, I magnetised those, thinking I would also make the Mauler Fiend version, but that never happened. However, it does mean that I can pose the arms and head on my Fiend, depending on my mood. Or its mood. Ugh. Of course, I really went to town on the lightning with this one. And I mean, why not? It's the centerpiece of the collection. It deserves all the lightning it can get. Now, let me tell you about the painting. 5 of these I painted back in 2014 using Cantor Blue as the base colour. I never got any further than that until last summer, that is, summer 2022, when I decided enough was enough and I was tired of seeing these poor forlorn traitor marines lying naked in grey in my bits box. So I painted them all. It took me a few weeks, but I did it, and it allowed me to test out my gold recipe, which goes like this: a base coat of a dark brown, layer on dwarven gold, wash with Reichland flesh shade, and highlight with a silver paint of some sort. The lightning looks better on some models than others, but in most cases I used Lotham blue first and then white, painting zigzag lines or sometimes wavy lines. On a few models, and only a few, I painted red wings on the shoulder pad, which was nothing fancy. For the horns, I used various layers of brown, getting lighter up to a white at the tip of the horn. I got lazy with the tusks, painting them a light brown and then just washing the hell out of them with Agrax Earthshade. For the flesh, I tended to base with purple, and then add some lighter tones, which is a mix of purple and white and flesh colour, in various proportions until I was happy with it. I rebased all the Legionaries onto 32mm bases, adding a 5mm layer of cork to give them more height and intimidation. The cork was painted a terracotta colour and highlighted with dark sand. I painted most of these before sticking them onto the models, and honestly, at one point it looked like a plate of cookies. And there we have it. Goodness knows how many points of Night Lords, which I think are pleasing to look at. As for effectiveness on the tabletop, who knows? This was almost exclusively a project just to get some miniatures finished, and oh, the dopamine hit once it was done. At worst, this lot looks nice on the shelf. At best, they get to be used in a casual game with friends, and that's fine. They were never meant to be anything more anyway. You might suggest to me additions to this rather bland force, such as raptors or bikes, which fits with the rapid terror tactics the Night Lords employ. But whether for good or ill, I have no intention of expanding these anytime soon, if ever. They were an unfinished project from 9 years ago, which I just had to get done, and I consider the book closed on them. That is to say, I shan't collect more Chaos Space Marines. In fact, you could say that process has already begun. For a 2nd edition army, that is. And who knows, perhaps my brush will be dunked in Cantor Blue once more. And with that, I had better get painting some more minis. Take care, and thanks for watching.